Hi, I'm Rachel Brown-Finnis, and you're listening to the Football History Boys podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Football History Boys podcast with me, Ben Jones, and as always, Gareth Thomas.
It's great to be back.
It is our first podcast since February, but we're back and we're ready to look closer at the best club legends in football history. But that's not all. We'll also be looking closer at some of the stories of today that are changing the game we know and love, like VAR, and also going to do a quiz at the end and hearing some of your thoughts on who you think are football's greatest club legends. But before that, let's have a little catch up. How's it all going, Gareth?
It's good. Both living the parent life now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Permanently tired.
Yes.
I've got a 15-month-old. You've got, an 18-month-old?
Yeah, 17 months now, all starting to walk and toddle around. So, yeah, constantly on the go.
Life is exhausting, hence why maybe pods aren't as regularly as we once intended them to be.
Yeah, we did say back in February, I think we did 2 in about 2 weeks, and we were like, oh, here we go, we're going to be regular with these again. But it's been, 8-9 months since the last one. But we are back. Hopefully we'll be doing a few more specials in the months to come.
Yeah, and I think it's good to catch up anyway, because we've had a busy couple of months on Twitter, haven't we?
We have. It's part of the reason we haven't done the podcast is that we've been putting a lot of our eggs into the Twitter, or X, basket as well. Doing our World Cup. So we've had the Stadium World Cup, the Rivalries World Cup, the Crest World Cup, the Kit World Cup, and now we're doing the Club Legends World Cup to really bring it all together, or what we've done over the last few months. It's been amazing to see the growth, starting with the Stadium World Cup, which started off relatively small, and the final, which was an Old Firm final, really went off, and that was amazing.
Rangers won that, didn't they?
Rangers did win it, yeah. So Rangers Ibrox won it. Moving on to the Rivalries World Cup, which we saw maybe wasn't as many fans getting involved purely, I think, because they had to work with their rivals.
Yeah, and that was where we first sort of saw the proper emergence of Toon polls as a proper threat in the old Twitter sphere.
Yes, Toon polls, a Newcastle fan, they've really promoted the World Cups, but also really got involved and did amazing by winning that one. Then we moved on to the Crest World Cup, which was brilliant. That's when we really tapped in to the South American market.
The South Americans love voting for their clubs and things, don't they?
Yeah, really, really vocal. So it was Corinthians that ended up winning that one, which, to be fair, was a really nice crest with the anchor in the background.
Yeah, a really classic football history crest, that one.
And then finally, very recently, was the Kit World Cup, which Toon polls again did so well getting to the final with Newcastle. But again, the South Americans came out strong.
Peruvians, wasn't it? The whole of Peru got involved, really. Not just Universitario, but actually pretty much the whole of Peru. And I think most of our sort of near 20,000 followers are now Peruvian.
Yeah, I think we definitely a quarter of our followers are from Peru, which is brilliant. But that was nice to see. I think we had about 90,000 votes on the final. About 10 million people viewed it, and it hit people's Instagrams and all sorts. So it was really nice to see people really taking it on.
Took the football world by storm. Is that big enough?
Well, probably. A
small corner of the football world by storm.
Yeah, the small Twitter X corner of the football world. So we'll be looking at that today, and we'll explain a bit more. We'll do the draw on the podcast as well, to find out the groupings and how close it's all going to be. But before that, we can't get away from it. It is the thing that is every single week we watch football, and it is VAR. Now, we did this podcast and we started it, I think, about 4 or 5 years ago now, and we discussed VAR then, and we were really promoting it. We were brilliant. It had done so well at the World Cup. We thought this was going to be, a revolutionary change, just like it is in rugby and other sports. However, we're continually having the same discussion. People don't like it. They want it to get rid of it. And I feel like the calls are getting bigger and bigger. You've always been a big advocate for VAR. Has anything changed?
No, not for me. No, and I know I'm fighting against the crowd on it now. I am. But it's not going anywhere. And the reason, the amount of conversations I've had, and I totally understand all of them. I'm not blinded to it. I get the unhappiness. But I cannot live, because I'm just driven that way by injustices.
Cardiff City,
Chelsea.
Yeah.
That would not have happened without VAR. And you can go, well, yeah, there's loads of other things that it slows the game down, you can't celebrate, etc. I totally understand that. I'm not saying all that. But for me, everything is outweighed by the fact Cardiff City were relegated because of a miles and miles offside goal. It was blocked by the hair of Willian, I think it was, wasn't it, at the time? So the linesman couldn't see Azpilicueta offside. Cardiff City relegated off the back of it.
And miles offside as well.
Incredibly far. It's not even one of those toenail ones. And likewise, there's another one, Watford at home, Stonewall penalty on Josh Murphy. The apology immediately. I think they watched it at half-time and sort of apologised immediately. Not even one of the later ones you see nowadays where they apologise a couple of days later. That wasn't given because they didn't see it. And again, we would have won that game. And we would have, with those 6 points, we would have stayed up. And it is the reality of it. And I still, Cardiff City are still in the Championship because of those decisions. We would have, who knows? Maybe we would have gone down the following season. But we may well have stayed. We may well have established.
Financially, innit?
Financially, the club may be on a totally different front. And it is because of VAR. Yeah, of course, there's, over the course of the season, other results that go your other way. There was a goal that we had that VAR would have ruled out against Brighton. But for me, that's fine. If they're getting the decisions right. Now, that is the problem, isn't it? And obviously, you're a Liverpool fan. The most significant one that he's absolutely confirmed as a mistake was that Luis Diaz one, wasn't it, this season?
Yeah, first I got to say I'm glad you're over the Azpilicueta goal now. Yeah, Luis Diaz, obviously that was a shocker, and they did come clean and say we messed it up, so fair play to them for that. I think obviously the Diaz one was really bad.
But again, I understood why it happened when they played out the audio. I know people think the audio is faked or whatever to cover up. It's not. What they did was they were trying to speed through it. They were told we need to be quicker because lots of the complaints when I tweeted out earlier, and I'll read out some of the tweets in a second, was that it's too slow. The problem is if you speed it up, they saw that it was so clearly onside. They thought the on-pitch goal call was onside. And so they just went, yeah, it's onside, crack on. But they didn't actually say that's onside, did they? They just went, check over, as was the call then, check over, and therefore the goal was given the goal wasn't given because the on-pitch decision was that it was offside. They thought in the VAR room that it was on, and obviously there's the awful clip of the video replay guy who, potentially just like an 18-year-old lad clicking a mouse for him who does the computers, nothing to do with refereeing, going, you just realise you've made a mistake there, and they because the game's restarted, and of course again you can make the argument they should have stopped the game. Actually, once that game's restarted, they could have broken the laws of the game, they could have, but they couldn't because the game had restarted, and that's why it's gone. There's a whole debate about whether they should have, and probably in this case they should have called the game back because something like 20 seconds had passed and nothing significant happened. But the laws of the game, once the game is restarted, VAR then can't get back involved. Now, all of it is awful. All of it is truly awful. When things like that happen and when mistakes happen. But for me, I said it's a justice issue. It's the subjective cause that I think are the issue. So my question to you, Ben, and I asked this to X or Twitter as well. How do you solve it? 'Cause I've got a couple of thoughts out for you then, personally, because you've wavered on VAR. What's your solving it?
For me... Well, I think the offside stuff I'm not bothered by. I think that's fine. I would bring in the automated system they use in Europe in the World Cup.
Yeah, semi-automated they call it because it still involves the flag, but automated in terms of the decision is made by a computer.
That way to me just seems like perfect. I'm not sure they're not using it in the Premier League. I think you said before it's about they
voted against it. The Premier League clubs voted against it, which is again funny. And I just wish fans knew these things, but hey, that's fine.
So I'd keep it for that. Offside's brilliant. It's all just it's just football so subjective, and like obviously what the referee thinks. So an example is Romero's tackle on Callum Wilson on the weekend. Yeah. For me that's a straight red card, and for most people it was as well. But obviously the referee and the VAR decided it's a yellow was fine, and it's that idea what is clear and obvious. And I feel like that the wording is quite difficult to interpret, and even the wording is subjective. What's obvious to one person isn't obvious to another. I feel like it has to be more like rugby. It has to be so when a try is scored in rugby, the referee. I'm not going to pretend I know all about rugby, but the referee will ask the TMO a very specific question, like, "Can I award the try?" or something, and it's very clear, much clearer for the for the TMO to make his decision and decide. And I don't feel like it's rushed there. I feel like they just take the time. It is a different sport and it is a different fan base, but I mean, I can't really fix it. I just think offsides are fine, and then it's just a word and it's a language involved in it. I think that all that has to be cleared up.
Yeah, clear. I mean, that is always going to be the debate, isn't it? Clear and obvious. But with that Romero one, they felt that it wasn't clear and obvious that it was a red card challenge.
It was clear and obvious.
It was. But again, it's a subjective call, isn't it? And that's where it's difficult. Football is so subjective. Rugby is in terms of some of the high challenges, but there's a very clear definition on what a high challenge is. People don't like it. Proper rugby men, the old school rugby men don't like it. For me, I haven't got an issue because you're seeing the impact on people who've retired of the head injuries. So
stuff,
absolutely red cards for it. But with football, there is almost every decision that a referee makes is subjective.
But also, rugby's got loads more rules than football. It's got tons more rules, so it is a lot more clear about what is illegal and what isn't. So there we go.
And I'm a bigger American football fan, and again they've got it in there in terms of challenging on-field calls. So this is one of my suggestions, which I liked at the start, and a lot of people thought was going to happen with VAR, was coaches' challenges.
Like
maybe two or three coaches' challenges in a match. The referee makes his decision. The coach can then challenge that. Obviously, there was a whole thing about they would tactically use it to delay the game in certain points. I mean, they do that in American football. It's just part of the game. You'd be clever at using them the right time. But that is something you could think about. Maybe only when the ball's gone out of play, so you can't throw the challenge flag when the game's ongoing or whatever it may be. Something like that, a coach's challenge. Yeah, for me, I'm absolutely fine with offsides. People aren't going to like it semi-automated. It's coming. I think it'll come next season. The problem with semi-automated offsides is there's no margin for error. So we're going to get a perfect 100% accurate, or certainly maybe 99% accurate decisions, but people aren't going to like it because the margin for error goes from 10 centimetres to no centimetres, and so that will be very, very, very tight toenail offsides. But it will solve it because offside is offside, and I can live with that, and it should be far quicker. The subjective ones, it's really difficult. It's really difficult, and I don't know the answer. I've had many debates. Jack Passmore, who's a big Chelsea fan, me and him have debated many a time. He's saying he hates it. It ruins the spontaneity of sort of celebrations and things like that. And I understand it. Again, I get it. But for me, I value the review more than the loss that it has. But actually, it gives a double celebration. Because every goal that he talked about this, it was the Chelsea Tottenham game from a few weeks ago, which I found thrilling.
That was such a good one.
I called the game season. He wasn't happy about that, saying why you enjoying the drama of lots of VAR calls. Yes, it was brilliant.
When it's not your team, it is quite enjoyable.
Exactly. So I totally understand as a Chelsea fan. It wasn't so, even though VAR went for them in many occasions. But there was celebration every time. Every goal that went in, there was celebration. It's just then the celebration is cut off.
Yeah.
And I get it. Football fans don't like it. The communication needs to be better. There needs to be ref mic played. FIFA don't allow that at the moment. I hope it will shift to allow it. And cleared up on things, but for me, I do. There's lots of things here from our replies here. So we've got things like Big Mad Andino says time limit to send the referee to the screen, time limit at the screen, no slowing down footage for potential red cards. That's when you hear quite a lot about slowing down and not showing slow-mos. I mean, they're quite important with some of the challenges because you've got to see the impact of the challenge. Things like the buckle of an ankle changes the decision from a yellow to a red, things like that. With that Romero one that we talked about earlier, there wasn't that buck of the ankle, and therefore that's why they were happy to give it a yellow. Time limit, Warnock wanted that, didn't he? Neil Warnock, 30-second time limit. You're going to get Diaz decisions. Fine if you want it, and I've said to Jack the same when we were talking about it. I can go with it. If you want 30 seconds, go with it, but you're going to get mistakes. Mid-Gaz
says bin it.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Fine. Automated offside and get rid of the rest, says Vit T.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of different ones here. Welsh John, who's tweeted us many a time, scrap it, and then saying things about use fan footage from the camera angles, get better camera angles from the fans. It's a one that he's going to debate and run for years. I don't think it's going anywhere. I know people are turning on it. There's many ones you see. So the one on the weekend, Havertz being ruled out. The goal's ruled out on the pitch anyway, so we can scrap VAR. Fine, bin off VAR. That's still not a goal, by the way, Arsenal fans, and Jermaine Genius and Ian Wright and Gary Lineker on Match of the Day on the weekend blaming VAR for it. Well, actually the referee on the day decided it wasn't a goal anyway, and so VAR couldn't overrule it. But for me, the handballs, I've got no problem with a goal scorer. If they handball it, it's ruled out because a goal scorer can't score with your hand.
Yeah, I thought the same about that one, to be fair. But
Yeah.
maybe because I'm a Liverpool fan and we're top of the league now.
Yeah, well, of course it is. and it was brought in. I get it. When you see that, it's like, that's outrageous. There's got to be common sense. But you bear in mind then things like the Llorente goal in the Champions League a couple of years ago against Man City. He scored with his hand, and they kicked off about that, the authorities, because the goal was scored with a hand and it was given, and they didn't overrule it. And so they brought in about the goal scorer can't score with his hand. Now, Havertz didn't tap it in with his hand, but he did use his hand to control the ball pretty much, and there was a lot going on. It's the way it goes. It's a different one for the defender, Matt Cash, in that way. It hit his hand, but it was clearly in a natural position, accidental. But yeah, it's going to run and run. We're not going to solve it on here, but I thought it was good to have a catch-up on it because it's been a long time since we talked VAR.
It has, and I imagine by the time we do the next podcast,
something else will happen.
8 months in 8 months' time, we'll be doing another one. All right, cool. Let's have a little quick break, and then we'll move on to the Club Legends World Cup. Welcome back to the Football History Boys podcast. We are going to delve into the Club Legends World Cup. So how it works, there'll be 32 different players from 32 different clubs, and they're going to be put into 8 groups. How's it going to work from there, Gareth?
From our 8 groups, 2 will progress. So that's going to go to a Twitter vote, isn't it, on Saturday the 16th of December. Lovely and Christmassy in the build-up of Christmas, that.
Yep.
Get your votes in. Vote in for your favourite of each group, of each team.
Yep.
They'll come through then into the last 16. Winner plays a runner-up, quarterfinals, semi-finals, and then the big 24-hour final, which, as we said, absolutely blew up on the last 2 we've done, actually.
Yeah, it has.
Let's try and break some records. 10 million interactions with the last one. Let's see if we can, make it 12.
I'm hoping so. So how it'll work then is that every day the polls will get longer and longer and longer as it goes on. So the first day will be about 4 hours. By the end, as you said, it'll be 24. It will go on daily as well. So after the group stages on Saturday, the last 16 will be on Sunday, the quarterfinals on Monday, semi-finals on Tuesday, and the final starts Tuesday night at 9 and lasts until Wednesday night, also at 9, 24 hours.
You can watch the darts, build up for Christmas, and you can do some voting at the same time.
Perfect.
That's what I'll be doing.
What more could you want for Christmas? Right. Shall I read out the nominees that we've come up with?
Yeah, it was hard to cut this down, wasn't it? We spent an evening in the pub doing a pub quiz
we did.
And writing down 32 names. It was hard. Obviously, some sides will be unhappy they'll be left out here. We've tried to get a breadth of countries. We've tried to get a breadth of sort of legends, modern and old names. But equally, we're not thinking about the best player here. Messi and Ronaldo are in it. But we're not looking for who is the best player. We're looking for who's your favourite club legend. Who did the most for that club? Who do you think deserves it for? Who's synonymous? When you say Newcastle United, who do you think of?
Exactly. So that's a really good way to talk about it. And a legend of a club doesn't have to be that club's best player ever. It just has to be a player that may have given their all to the team. They're a loyal player. They've done stuff for beyond the pitch as well. So those kind of players who we're thinking of, as well as those those greats too. Just a really good example of a player who won't be included, but is a legend in one of the best of all time, is Zinedine Zidane. Of course, when we originally did our top 250 vote, I think he came out on top. However, the clubs he's played for, there have been players who are more synonymous with those clubs, so he isn't picked. But let's get and see who has been picked. I'll just read them out. So I'm going to read out the players. After I read them out, have a little think. Which players to you stand out? You pick a couple, I'll pick a couple, and then we'll start drawing them in their groups. So we have Lionel Messi for Barcelona. We have Paolo Maldini for AC Milan. Fernando Gomez for Porto. Dixie Dean for Everton. Pele for Santos. Zico for Flamengo. Eusebio for Benfica. Riquelme for Boca Juniors. Frank Lampard for Chelsea. Thierry Henry for Arsenal. Bobby Charlton for Man United. We have Lolo Fernandez for Universitario. We thought they deserved someone to be included as well after how well they did in the Kit World Cup. We have Kenny Dalglish for Liverpool. Alan Shearer, of course, for Newcastle. Garrincha for Botafogo. Blanco for Club America. Franz Beckenbauer for Bayern. Johan Cruyff for Ajax, Georgi Hagi for Galatasaray, Henrik Larsson for Celtic. We have Frank Puskas for Honved, Bobby Moore for West Ham, Zanetti for Inter, Batistuta for Fiorentina. We have Maradona, of course, for Napoli, Socrates for Corinthians, Platini for Juve, Totti for Roma, Aguero for Man City, Cristiano Ronaldo for Real Madrid, Ali McCoist for Rangers, and of course, Cardiff City legends, the late, great Peter Whittingham. Who stands out?
Well, obviously, I mean, the last name you said there, Peter Whittingham, probably my favourite player of all time. The late, great Peter Whittingham. Absolute championship legend, probably the best championship player of all time, and that will be debated, I'm sure, but Football Clichés recently decided he should be included in their EFL 11. He is a phenomenal player, and a great guy, and very sadly lost his life, late 30s, really, really tragic. So of course he's there for me. He's a wild card. Hey, I am half 50% of the Football History Boys, so you're getting in whether you like it or not. Thierry Henry, one of my favourite all-time players not of my club. Loved him, not an Arsenal fan at all, but I just loved Henry. That image of Henry in the maroon shirt from that last year of Highbury is just such an iconic image. Obviously Dixie Dean, that's quite an interesting one, isn't it? Obviously the oldest player on our list. Came into people's sort of knowing, if you're a younger football fan, last season when Haaland was going wild for the goals, wasn't he? And he was trying to break Dean's record for a season. Everyone's like, it doesn't count because he scored it in the late 30s, in the 30s. What are you talking about? It doesn't count. Oh, it's too long ago. For me, I know it was a long time ago. I know he wouldn't cut it now, but he was the best of that time.
And he didn't have Kevin De Bruyne supplying the passes to him, did he?
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, the standouts are from the Italian clubs. There's quite a few Italian clubs in there. I think Maradona. We haven't had Napoli in one of our World Cups before, but I do feel that they might really strongly get behind him, because I know if you go to Napoli and look around the city, there's Maradona everywhere.
Their stadium named after him, isn't it?
And the
stadium,
yeah.
Diego Armando Maradona.
Yeah, well done. We've had a lot of South American support in the past. I think Socrates and Corinthians will come on strong as well. Riquelme for Boca Juniors.
We had a debate about him in the pub, didn't we? About how good he actually was, and how we maybe in Britain or in Europe didn't see that of him.
Yeah, we saw him for Villarreal, didn't we, in the Champions League 2006, and he was at Barca for a bit, but he never really hit the heights for them. But I know in South America he is really, really revered as one of the greats. And amazingly, I think the favourite to win at the moment is probably Lolo Fernandez of Universitario, because of the Peruvian vote.
The defending champions, aren't they?
Defending champions. Right, shall we get stuck into the draw?
Yeah, so a couple of notes on the draw. We are going to take time into an account. So a little bit like what UEFA do in their draws, or FIFA in the draws, where there's a little bit of a caveat. So some of the South American sides fairly ask, well, that's not fair. We're asleep at 1 a.m. or wherever their draw is starting. So some of those South American sides we're going to push towards the later groups. The rest of it runs as normal though. So the last 4 groups we'll put some of the South Americans in just to help them out time wise.
Yeah, make it fair. Right. To save you listening to the whole draw, we're going to draw the groups ourselves, and then we're going to go back through them and see any tasty groups, any amazing clashes, and who do we think is now going to be the favourites to win.
Yeah, Wheel of Names can take its time, and we don't want you to listen to all of that.
Good
but join us after a break. Welcome back. We've done the draw. I'm glad we didn't do that live, actually. It took a while.
Yeah, it did.
A fresh cup of tea. Yeah. But we have the results. Okay. We didn't actually have to move any of them either. It all worked out for the South Americans anyway. Let's have a chat about some of these groups then. So Group A, Ronaldo, Real Madrid, Totti for Roma, Zanetti for Inter Milan, and Bobby Moore for West Ham.
Moore. Oh, that's not bad. That's quite a good group. I think. Looking at it quickly now, I think Totti for Roma. I think Roma fans will be very vociferous in their support.
And he is a proper legend at that football club.
I mean, he only played for them, didn't he? Bobby Moore, West Ham. I think, West Ham, we've got quite a few Irons as followers on Twitter, so they might get involved quite a bit. Zanetti, of course, again, Mr. Inter. I think they retired as number 4, didn't they, when he left? And then Ronaldo, CR7. He's got some fans of Ronaldo. Not for Real Madrid. They're actual Ronaldo fans. Kids in school, some of them are just Ronaldo fan. And I'm like, what?
Modern
is going
fandom.
on? But there we are.
That's
Right,
a
Group
whole
B.
other thing. We got McCoist for Rangers, Beckenbauer for Bayern Munich, Cannavaro for Man City, and Dixie Dean for Everton.
I think, looking at that, Rangers, of course, are hugely involved in these World Cups. Everton fans as well, lots big Twitter presence. Everton, I think Dixie Dean could do all right there. Aguero, of course, what a moment for Man City. Probably one of the most modern legends going on the list, and Beckenbauer, of course, Bayern Munich legend, in probably the top 6-7 players of all time. Incredible.
If it was co-commentator World Cup, McCoist would win that, wouldn't he?
Well, yeah, I don't think co-commentary was around when Dixie Dean was talking about.
Group C. This is where Toon Polls come into their own. We're going to play a voice note for him in a second. He's hyped up for this. Alan Shearer tops Group C. Then Bobby Charlton for Man United, Eusebio for Benfica, and Frank Lampard for Chelsea.
Yeah, I think, if we're going on best, greatest players, it'd probably be Eusebio. But, close one there. Charlton as well for Man United. Of course, died very recently, so I feel like he could have a big vote too.
And possibly the greatest Premier League player of all time, debatably before Alan Shearer, but certainly the most goals in the Premier League. And this is what Toon Polls had to say about him.
Alan Shearer has undoubtedly got to be Newcastle United's nomination for the Club Legends World Cup, and in my opinion is a really credible option to win the whole tournament. We're talking about a guy who scored 206 goals for the club. A club record which had been held for a long time by Jackie Milburn. He's also the Premier League's top ever goal scorer. In addition, he turned down a huge money move to Manchester United before he joined the club, a move which would have gained him multiple trophies, numerous accolades, but he chose his boyhood club, and that means a lot to the fans of Newcastle. He's well loved up here, still very well connected to the area, does a lot for the region. I definitely think that Alan Shearer should win the Club Legends World Cup. Shearer.
Fantastic. Can't argue much of that. I think what was really interesting, what he said, was about how one of the things that makes him a club legend isn't just his performance on the pitch, but it was turning down that big money move to Man United as well. And I feel like that, those kind of things are what really propel players into that legendary status, really committing to the club they play for.
Well, we had a bit of a debate, and it'll come up later when we get to Liverpool, but obviously we talked about Gerrard and Liverpool, and you said potentially him moving away from the club is what maybe pushed fans to go Dalglish over Gerrard, because for a lot of our more modern fans, more recent fans, they would think Gerrard is absolutely nailed on.
Yeah, I think the main thing with that was, alongside Jordan Henderson moving to the Saudi Arabian League, of course, had a massive backlash. People weren't really happy about players going there and the sort of moving for the money, and also they're like turning their back on things like LGBT when they've been so vocal in the past. So I think those things are probably working against them now, and their sort of reputations have been tarnished. So that is why Dalglish is included.
Okay, Group D. Henrik Larsson for Celtic, Platini for Juve, Blanco for Club America, and Gomez for Porto.
So I'd say arguably this might be one of the weaker groups on paper. Celtic always do pretty well.
Porto do pretty well, though.
Actually, you are right. Porto have done pretty well in the past, haven't they? Interested to see if Mexico gets involved with Club America. I'd like to see maybe a bit of a push for them. And of course Juventus. We don't usually include them, but we have this time. The old lady, not Platini. Platini's included as well. Right, Group E. Who have we got?
Group E. Now this is an absolutely brilliant group in terms of the two first names of it.
Oh my gosh!
Messi for Barcelona, Maradona for Napoli. It's an age-old debate anyway, but those two in the same group. Added to that, then Garrincha, the Brazilian legend, for Botafogo, and then Hadji for Galatasaray.
That's a fantastic. There's that famous Champions League group a few years ago, and I think it was Sparta Prague had drawn in with like Barca and all those Inter and everyone, and they cut to their sort of manager team all laughing. I think that's what Georgi Hadji would be doing right now when he sees Messi, Maradona, and Garrincha in the same group as him.
Group F then, Maldini. He's one of my favourites as well in terms of players outside of my club. Maldini for Milan, Zico for Flamengo, Cruyff for Ajax, and Thierry Henry for Arsenal.
Good one. Again, some massive names there for the greatest of all time. That's going to be a really close one.
Group G, Fernandez then for Universitario, Riquelme for Boca, Pele for Santos, and then Batistuta for Fiorentina.
That's actually really close. That's 3 South Americans in the same group there. I think we never had Santos before, and obviously it's Pele. I'll be interested to see how much they get involved.
Yeah, and the general football fan may pull for Pele in that group as well.
Yes, especially if they interpret it as who's like the best player on the list.
And then Group H, I think, is the Football History Boys derby group.
Oh my God, this is an amazing group.
Yeah, Socrates for Corinthians. Cool anyway, cool guy. He's in there. And then we've got Kenny Dalglish for Liverpool, Peter Whittingham for Cardiff City, and then TFHB favourite all-time player, Frank Puskás for Honved.
That's amazing. So yeah, I'm a Liverpool fan, Gareth's a Cardiff fan. They're both in the same group.
And we're both Puskás fans.
Yeah, and Puskás, what a hero. So he's in there as well. And Socrates, of course, Corinthians, massive fan base. So that's going to be a real good group to watch. Some fantastic groups there.
So predicting forwards, who you fancy, and then for a deep run into this tournament.
Right. There's obviously the obvious ones we've already said before. Yeah. I think Totti and Maradona. I think Maradona for Napoli. I obviously it's up to us to try and get those fans involved. But I think if they do, they've got huge fan bases out in Italy. I'll be really interested to see about Pele and Zico for Santos and Flamengo, because we haven't used them before. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what they come up with.
Yep, and if you're a new listener here, make sure you check it out over on Twitter or X. I still call it Twitter, and I'm going to maintain
it's easier, isn't it?
Elon, I'm not a fan of X. I think you still have to log into twitter.com to get to it.
Yeah,
anyway.
you do.
So Twitter or X, whichever you call it, check us out at TFHBS. Give us a tweet or a post or whatever they're called now, and make sure you repost or retweet the polls. See it, vote for your own club, but obviously vote for the rest of the clubs too. Let's build this. Let's grow it. Let's see if we can get Club Legends World Cup trending.
Yeah, brilliant. And if you've got and if you have any other ideas for future World Cups, let us know, because we'd love to take on any suggestions and go with them too.
Okay, let's take one more break, and then we'll come back for a bit of a wrap up and a quiz.
Okay, welcome back to the Football History Boys podcast. We are going to finish today's show with a quiz. It's going to be a bit different today, because Gareth's going to be asking the questions and I'm going to be answering them. What quiz have you got for me today?
Okay, we're going to do a manager's quiz, sort of relate to Club Legends, because some of these probably will appear in some form.
Interesting.
Legendary managers, who is their most used player? Okay, there's 20 here. Wow. I don't know if we'll get through all 20.
Okay.
I'll give you a little hint if you need it. You can have your first initial guess, and then we'll try and narrow it down, maybe by position or by country. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's start with a Premier League legend.
Yeah.
Arsene Wenger.
Most used player will be David Seaman.
Incorrect.
Okay, can I have a hint?
I can give you a hint.
Okay.
He is an Englishman.
An English player. Is it? I reckon it's a really obvious one, wouldn't it? Tony Adams.
It is someone who...
Keown.
Nope.
Oh.
I'll give you one more hint. A winger. English winger.
Ray Parlour. Who is it?
Unbelievably, Theo Walcott.
Oh, what?
Yeah, unbelievable.
That is amazing. Never
That's
guessed
crazy.
That. Okay.
That's crazy.
He's not in the Club Legends World Cup.
Okay. What about Jose Mourinho?
Mourinho. He would have used... Oh, he's been about, isn't he? John Terry.
No, but another centre-half.
Carvalho.
Okay,
I'm happy with that.
Followed him, didn't he, from Porto?
Real, yeah.
Okay, next one, we have got Sir Alex Ferguson.
Giggs.
Easy, well done. Guardiola, surprising one.
Guardiola will be... Edison.
No, but it is a Man City player.
David Silva.
Wrong Silva.
Bernardo Silva.
Wow,
Silva. That's
crazy,
a great
isn't it?
one. Love that.
Your club, Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp.
Is it Firmino?
It is Firmino.
Thank you.
It is Firmino.
Take that one.
Rafa Benitez.
Oh, he's been about as well, but he's been at Liverpool for quite a long time. Reina.
No, it is Liverpool, but it's not Reina.
Not Reina. Carragher.
Carragher.
Okay.
Carragher. Okay, what about a real modern legend in terms of we'll remember him as such an icon, this guy, Carlo Ancelotti. Don Carlo.
Oh.
He's been around the block.
Is it a Real player?
It's not.
Milan.
Milan, yeah.
Maldini.
Not Maldini.
Pirlo?
Not Pirlo.
Oh.
Same ilk. Same ilk. You're on the right lines.
Probably is it midfielder?
No, a forward.
Shevchenko.
Italian.
Inzaghi.
Oh,
wow.
Inzaghi. Let's go. What about Capello?
This is tough. He's been about in Capello.
I don't know if you go Capello, actually.
Maldini.
It's not.
Baresi.
No.
Costa Curta.
No.
Okay, who is it?
Emerson. No.
Which one?
Sorry, that was hard.
Not Emerson Royale.
Let's give you a couple more. Rijkaard. Frank Rijkaard.
Frank Rijkaard. I don't think he managed anymore, does he? Rijkaard's number one will be Victor Valdez.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
That's good, eh? You've done well. First timers.
Goalkeepers are always good guesses,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Simeone.
Oh, Simeone. He's got his favourite Koke.
Koke.
Yeah.
Doing really well here. What about Maurizio Pochettino?
Poch. Vertonghen.
No.
Lloris.
No. But
Go on, hint.
But of that first Spurs spell.
It's not Lloris. Alderweireld?
Nope. Midfielder.
Oh. Dele Alli.
Nope.
Now go on, who is it?
Christian Eriksen.
Okay.
Surprising that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit surprising.
Okay, two more. Deschamps.
Deschamps. He's French national
Long
team,
time
isn't he?
French manager, yeah.
Mbappe? No, it won't be him with it. Someone else, like Lloris.
Nope.
Pogba.
Nope. Defender. Fullback.
Fullback for France. Oh dear. I'm trying to think who they are now. I've got Hernandez, Pavard. Don't know. Go on.
Interesting. It's Patrice Evra.
Oh, that's ages ago.
Yeah. And the very final one then.
Was he a Marseille manager as well, Deschamps? I'm sure he might have been.
Quite
There we
possibly.
go.
Quite possibly. Final one. Antonio Conte.
Conte, he's been about as well. First guess would be, oh gosh, is it an Italian team or is it Chelsea?
Juve. It is a Juve.
Juve. Pirlo.
Nope.
Buffon.
No.
Oh, who is it?
Midfielder.
Midfielder for
South American midfielder.
Juve. Vidal.
Yeah.
Wow,
Vidal.
that's I would never get that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, there you go. A couple of others on here, we won't go through them all, but Marcelo Bielsa is Matthias Klitsch from Leeds. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it's mad. Massimo Allegri is Bonucci.
Yeah, I might get that one.
Mancini is Dejan Stankovic.
Nice.
Yeah.
I thought he would have been Man City.
Claudio Ranieri, Zola.
Zola for
Yeah.
Ranieri.
Zidane was Benzema, that's probably a pretty obvious one. Van Gaal was Frank de Boer.
Okay.
There you go.
Nice.
Fun little quiz there. I hope you did well at home.
Yeah.
You did really well there, in fairness.
Yeah, I'll take a few of those.
Lots first time.
Yeah. Koke I was happy with.
Send in your quiz questions for us and we'll take a look at some of the quizzes on a future pod.
That was from Planet Football, by the way. So head over to their site because looks like they've got some really good quizzes on it. Not just limited to Sporkle anymore.
And we're not even being paid to say that.
No. Well, if you want to pay us, then
But let's talk about someone
Buy
we
us a
are
coffee.
partnering with, which is Retro.
yeah, Free Retro. So they are a football retro kits website. They sell amazing kits from England, from Italy, from all around the world. So get over to them, www.3retro.com. Check them out.
We're going to use them in some YouTube videos, which leads us on to something else, isn't it? They're going to send us a couple of shirts, and we're going to do some react videos to some historic moments in football history.
Yes. What we'd love you to do is send us in your suggestions of what matches we should watch to react to. We've got a few ideas, but we love a few more. There is about 8 or 9 already on YouTube from a few years ago, but we're getting back into the YouTube again now, trying to make some great videos and content for you all. Our latest one is on 2006 World Cup. We're starting to take retrospective looks back at those World Cups and seeing, what made them so special and unique. Of course, that World Cup Everyone will remember it for that headbutt from Zinedine Zidane on Marco Materazzi. But again, if you want us to look at a specific World Cup and retrospectively look at that, that'd be amazing. So check that out on our YouTube channel. So just type in Football History Boys on YouTube and it'll come up.
Well, check us out on Twitter, as we said, or X, as it is now called, at TFHBS. On Facebook, you can find us too, the Football History Boys.
Yeah, we've also got Instagram as well, which is getting a lot of our shorts and videos are on there too. So check that out at the Football History Boys. And finally, old school. Just go to our website, footballhistoryboys.com.
That's where it all began.
That's where it all began. There is absolutely hundreds of articles and look backs at some of football history's most pivotal moments, written by Gareth and I, but also by incredible guest bloggers as well. We're always open to hearing some of your suggestions for blogs as well. If you send them to our email, thefootballhistoryboys@hotmail.com, that'd be amazing. And we hopefully can publish your work too.
I think we must be up to about maybe 30 guest writers by now, isn't it? And it's brilliant
I
to
think
have
it's more.
a span of countries and clubs and time periods is brilliant. So
One of them is in Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Argentinian football. So there you go.
Yeah, check it out. We've got a lot of Spanish followers now.
We do, yeah. Spanish-speaking followers, anyway, yeah.
But anyway,
Fantastic.
thank you for joining me today, Ben. I hope you enjoy the Club Legends World Cup.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm quite nervous as well, because it takes so much work.
Yeah. So please react. Please give us a like. Please give us a retweet, because it really does make it worth it.
Yeah, get involved. Get it trending.
But other than that, Ben, have a very happy Christmas. And to all our followers too.
Yes, Nadolig Llawen.
Goodbye.
Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas!